Hey Thrivers, you're listening to episode number 13. Today I am so excited to be joined by local business owner and boss babe, Megan Foltz of Humankind Beverage. Megan is here to tell us about the mission behind Humankind Water and how her hubby started a company that gives back and what that looks like on a practical level. She is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to missions and clean drinking water, and I can't wait to hear how she went from being a full-time nurse to taking trips to Africa to find new partners for their clean water initiatives. We'll be sharing about the work-life juggle along with what it's like being a stepmom and a horse mom. But for now, sit back and enjoy as we talk business, clean drinking water, and how you can get involved.
Welcome to The Thrive, a podcast for working moms. This is for all the women and moms listening. If you work from home, in an office, run your own business, or are the CEO of your family, this podcast is for you. Because at the end of the day, all moms are working moms. Rachel and Christine invite you to celebrate the victories, get advice, listen to their mom fails, and to know you aren't alone, to thrive in your everyday life.
Today's episode is sponsored by Inspire Business Community. Inspire has been a huge part of growing my own business, and I can't tell you how valuable their coaching services and mastermind groups have been for me as a businesswoman and a mom. Christine and I have mentioned Inspire countless times on the show because being a part of this local business community has allowed us to meet so many of our guests, many who have become great friends. Inspire is female-owned and operated, and in addition to mastermind groups and coaching, they've recently opened a co-working space in downtown Lancaster that's just for women, and it's where we record our show. The co-working space has all of the basics like high-speed internet, printers and copiers for your use, a conference room for meetings or to record your podcast, and the option to work with others or rent a semi-private office. It also has a full kitchen and a nursing mother's room for moms of little ones like myself and Christine. I don't know of any other co-working venues that cater to women the way Inspire does, and when the space is full, the creative energy here is contagious. Co-working passes can be purchased online at inspirebusinesscommunity.com, and there are daily options as well as a monthly punch card. To see a complete list of upcoming events and workshops, click on the Events tab or follow at Inspire Business Community on the gram. Okay, welcome everybody. Today I am so excited. This is Rachel, listening to the Thrive podcast, and I have with me a special guest. She is a part of the Humankind Beverage team, and her name is Megan Foltz. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yes. What is your actual title? Are you the vice president?
Yes, that is a more complicated question. So I do wear a lot of hats in the company.
Okay.
VP of Marketing is one of the ones that I carry.
That's where I saw VP before.
Yes. And I oversee our customer relations, our PR, our community events, and then on our associated nonprofit, Kind Human, I'm the director of missions.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I have so many questions, and I'm really excited to ask all of them. If you guys are wondering where Christine is, well, guys, pregnancy is hard, and she is totally fine. I didn't mean to say that like, oh my gosh, something happened. But we are just realizing that doing a podcast and also being moms and working full-time, it's a juggle. So anyway, it's just me today, but I think that Megan will totally do great. She has been so fun just to chit-chat with over the past few minutes as we've gotten set up. And it is great talking to someone that's equally loud is not the right word, but equally like outspoken. Like yes. We have guests come on the show and I'm like, oh, you're gonna have to talk a little bit louder, or I feel like I have to talk quieter. And I love that she has just come into the office this morning and she's just like, hi, I'm Megan. So this will be fun.
I'm a morning person.
Oh, that's great. I'm not I'm good now that I have my tea, but yes, I am working on the morning routine. So as far as your business goes, just tell us a little bit about what Humankind is. If somebody's never heard of the business or seen your product, introduce us.
Absolutely. So I'm really excited to introduce you to my product because I do think that we have an amazing business. But more importantly, the people who are purchasing our drinks are the real difference makers. We honestly call them like the heroes of humankind. So our beverage company was started as just a bottled water company initially, and we were and still do donate 100% of the net profits to clean water projects in developing countries. And then we actually launched into a whole line of organic iced teas and lemonades. Guys, I'm just saying, our strawberry lemonade, you just can't even like compare it to any other strawberry lemonade that you've ever tried. Our jasmine lime green tea. Yeah, very strong following for our drinks. But the cool thing about them, so not only do we have a quality product, which we're super proud of, we worked really hard on the recipes and making sure that it was real ingredients that you're drinking. But every bottle that you purchase actually provides at least 50 gallons of clean drinking water to somebody in need. So communities in Africa, India, Dominican Republic are all having a direct benefit because of somebody purchasing one of our drinks.
That is so cool. And one of the things I thought was so neat, your team member, she started as your intern. She's not an intern anymore. Haley.
Yes.
Shout out Haley.
Yay,
she
Haley.
reached out to me on Instagram. So I love Instagram connections. Putting that out there as well. But she had reached out and just said, hey, like, I love your show. I think that Megan might be a really great fit as a guest. And she had just made the comment that you'd be great for the show and how could we get connected. And when I looked at her email signature, I saw she was like, the business was in Lancaster. And I was like, no way. Like, I didn't know you guys were local.
Yeah.
So I felt like that made it even cooler. And I love when we get to do interviews face-to-face with people versus just a Zoom call or something like that. And I mean, those are great too. But there's something about meeting face-to-face. So if you are a local listener, maybe you have seen some of the Humankind teas or lemonades or waters in local places.
Yeah.
I'm sure you could probably ramble off like a bunch of places that carry things.
Our cafes and coffee shops are sort of, the sweet spot for our drinks, but shout out to Giant who just picked us up. So you can now find us at all of your Giant food stores.
Oh, that is so cool. Mm-hmm. Oh, awesome. Well, yeah, for anyone local or maybe not too local, you can now partake. And if you aren't a local listener, I'm sure you can probably find them online.
Yeah, we do have a store locator right on our website. Yeah, absolutely. If you go to our website, you can stick in your zip code. We are predominantly on the East Coast, but we're getting out there. I think we've got like over 700 stores right now. So
that's huge.
Yeah, stay tuned. If we're not currently in your area, we will be. Yeah,
that is so cool. Well, I would love to know your story. How did the business get started and how did you become a part of it?
Yeah, so hubby started the company like 8 years ago. What year are we in, guys? Come on. But yeah, I think it was like roughly, he got the idea for it 9 years ago, but the bottle actually rolled off the production line closer to like 7-8 years ago. And he was a youth pastor. Single dad of 2 boys living in Philadelphia and really felt compelled to leave his full-time job. Okay, I don't necessarily recommend this, but left his full-time job and launched the company, giving away 100% of the net profits. So he was basically living as a missionary.
Oh, wow.
People were just financially supporting him at that point in time. So, like big, hard yes to follow through with that, but obviously, it's working out really well, which is kind of awesome. My story was that before I had gotten a chance to reconnect with him, I am a nurse at Lancaster General. I was working in the intensive care unit, and I was leading medical teams to Haiti. So in 2010, there was this massive earthquake that probably a lot of us remember that happened in January. And I was leading teams and dealing with quake victims, and I went back 8 weeks after my first trip. This was in the fall, and cholera had broken out in Haiti. And so probably I knew about as much about cholera as most of the listeners do, which
the
is
only thing I know about cholera is what I learned from the Oregon Trail game.
Yes, right,
and
exactly.
if you got it, you probably died.
Yeah, right. Okay, so that end result is still true today, but I didn't know that cholera still existed as well. No. So I walked into this horrible endemic that just is going to, it literally can kill you in 24 hours. And I realized the depth of what it means if a community doesn't have access to clean drinking water. And so I started crying out to God, honestly, and saying, I am a trained medical professional and I can get people well, but if I send them back to a dirty water source.
So that's how cholera gets started.
This is very cyclical. Right. So cholera is a waterborne illness that ends up as a bacteria contaminates a water source, and it just kind of runs rampant through your GI system, and you lose everything in both directions. And so it dehydrates you so quickly that especially kids and the elderly can absolutely pass away in 24 hours if they're not helped.
Whoa.
Yeah, so I was in...
It's like mind-blowing. I did not know that.
Right. It's hell on earth. And I don't say that lightly. It is absolutely hell on earth. And it has changed my whole life trajectory from having seen that and having taken care of people. And so in Haiti, when I was dealing with it, it had just come, cholera had just happened like a week before I had gotten there, and they hadn't had it for the last 50 years. So everybody was terrified in the communities. They didn't know what they were dealing with.
Right.
And so everybody was just, you can imagine the heightened emotions that follow. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially if you're not sure, like, how to prevent it, and you just feel like, what's going to get me? Like,
absolutely.
I mean, yeah, when I hear the word, I just think of, like, oh, some old-fashioned thing.
Yeah.
So it's scary to think that it's still happening nowadays.
Absolutely. And the rainy season can set it off again. So even when things kind of quiet down and become quote-unquote dormant, when the rains start again and those water systems are filled and the bacteria kind of comes quote alive again, I mean, just more prevalent, then you can have another outbreak of cholera. Right now in the news, probably, I would say it's kind of similar to like the Ebola crisis that we see in Africa.
Yeah.
It sounds like it kind of like quiets down and then it rears its head again. And this is just cyclical for some of these disease processes, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Right. So like all of a sudden I'm sitting there like wrapping my head around infrastructure in a country. And I was like, well, I don't know anything about infrastructure. And so, like I said, that was sort of the fire that started burning in the belly of like, I've got to do something. I've got to use my voice. I've got to use my platform. I've got to make a difference however I can. And so 2 years after that, reconnected with this man named TJ, who I hadn't spoken to for 12 years, and he had started a company called Humankind, and they were getting people clean drinking water. And so,
oh, wow,
we
what a
reached out.
connection!
Crazy. I'm telling you what. I'm telling you what, girl. I never thought that this was going to
like
be
the
the path
stars
that I was
aligned.
on. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we started talking about sanitation and clean water, and I mean, if that's not an invitation for love, I don't know what is.
How had you guys originally met? You said that you kind of reconnected. So had you known each other like previously?
We had met previously in college.
Okay.
And so, yeah, we had known each other. He was married at the time. I went off and got married and was married for almost 11 years. And he unfortunately ended up divorced almost the whole time that I was married. And then I was going through my divorce. And just, again, we had never kept in connection because once upon a time, young listeners, there was not something called Facebook and social media. And so you just really didn't keep track of people. Do you know what I'm saying? Like he was in Philadelphia.
You couldn't stalk people the same way.
You could not stalk people the same. Yeah. And he will tell you that I stalked him, which I don't know about all that. But I did, Google Humankind and heard what he was doing and sent him an email that started... I'm sure you don't remember me because it's been 12 years. Like, whatever. We've both gone our separate ways and did remember me. And like I said, we were able to just connect over this passion that both of us share. So.
Oh, that is so neat.
So here we are like 6 years later. Yeah.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
So when you joined the team, the company was still new and it was still just water?
It was still just water. It was basically me and hubby as far as an everyday presence. And he was down in the Philadelphia area and I was up here in Lancaster. And the cool thing about Lancaster, so shout out to all my Lancaster County peeps that are listening. There's just some really cool similar values that seem to underlie a lot of our businesses, our own like personal lives, you know what I mean? We want to support the small company, the small business owner. There's a lot of people who just have those like intrinsic values of we want to do good, we want to help individuals, whether that's, through a Christian faith-based or otherwise, like still, we just kind of care about each other. I think that there's a real cool community that happens here in Lancaster. And so when I started presenting Humankind out to some of the small companies here, churches, LCBC got on board and the Worship Center and Victory Church and some of the big churches in the area just really started moving everything forward. And shortly thereafter, we got our president plugged in, who is former individual of Turkey Hill. Can I say that? I think I can. His dad was the former
very cool.
CEO of Turkey Hill. And so, yeah, we plugged him in, and he just had a strong desire to use his business knowledge to make a difference. And so we were kind of off and running. Yes.
Yeah, and to have somebody with that experience or connections or just know how to make connections in this world is probably so huge.
And Lancaster County, like I said, we always laugh about 6 degrees of separation around here. It's so true. It is absolutely true.
Oh my gosh, true.
Yeah.
People in my mastermind group, so you're here at we're recording at the Inspire Business Community Co-working Space. We're in the conference room. That's where we record our shows now, which is awesome.
It's so gorgeous here. Yes. Inspire. Love you.
Yeah. So one of the things they offer are these mastermind like business groups. And we have 2 women in my group who are from like the Berks County area. And they always joke like, Rachel, what are you, like the mayor of Lancaster? Like, how do you know all these people?
Right.
And I'm like, I feel like, first of all, I do a good job networking. And I also love having this show. It's a great way to meet people.
Yes.
But my husband's family, like, has been in business in this area for, like, generations. It's like the 4th generation now of having a business.
Yeah.
And so they are very well connected just through people that you use to grow your business.
Absolutely.
And, you know, they do a favor for you, you do a favor for them. Like, you find people that are good to work with and who doesn't want to help somebody out if somebody's helped them out previously.
Of course.
So, yeah, I feel like we run into that a lot. Like, especially if I'm with my in-laws, they always know somebody.
Yeah.
Like, last night true story, I got stuck in a parking garage here in Lancaster.
What do you mean stuck in a parking
legitimately,
garage?
like I texted our babysitter when we got into our car. We were on like the 3rd level. And I texted her as we were driving down the levels to get out and was like, we'll be home in about 10 minutes. And we got to the bottom and there was like a line of cars waiting to go out because the gate wouldn't lift. Something was broken and like the machine, it was the garage on Queen Street, right by the new Decades place.
Yeah.
So that's where we were at.
Ew.
And yeah, a lot of fun.
Not bad.
But the machine wouldn't even take anyone's credit cards. Like it was rejecting our tickets.
Oh my gosh.
So, long story short, I was stuck in this garage.
How long were you stuck?
Probably about 15, 20 minutes until, like, somebody from, like, parking authority came. But while we were stuck, the car in front of us, like, everyone kind of has their windows down trying to hear, like, what's going on.
Yeah.
And then once, like, the parking person came and was trying to fix things, you know, we're trying to overhear, like, what the issue is.
Right.
And so my husband got out just to see, like, could he help, whatever, and realizes that he knows the person in the car in front of us.
Yes, that is
Lancaster.
Lancaster County story. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
He's like, oh, yeah, I know her. That was, like, my friend's mom from high school, and we knew each other through church.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
So Lancaster.
It's awesome. It seriously is an amazing little community around here.
It is.
Maybe not so little anymore. I mean,
it is growing.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out Decades. A lot of fun.
Yes, I have heard good things. I am itching to get down there.
Yeah, it was definitely fun. If you're local and you're not sure what we're talking about, it's right next to the Queen Street Garage.
Yes.
Still morning, guys. I'm still learning to talk. But yeah, it's a really neat old building. I think it used to be like a YMCA or YWCA.
Okay.
And yeah, they've converted it into this like adult entertainment space. You can go bowling.
Yes.
They have like
let's say more arcade, like adult entertainment space.
Yes.
Sounds naughty, but
oh, true. That is so bad. That's like the second time I've done that.
Guys, it's more like skee ball and bowling, and then maybe a beer.
Yeah,
right?
not
There's
adult
the adult
entertainment. It's the morning. Yes, they have like 6 bowling alley lanes, and you can just like rent a lane with friends for an hour.
Yeah.
And what's great is there's full food service anywhere you're at. So whether you're in like a cool sitting area in the arcade zone,
yes,
or you want to do bowling or whatever, they have like a seating area where you can just sit and like do Nintendo.
Yeah.
Like with old school like N64 games, and you can get food and drinks while you're there.
What is not to love? Also, shout out to the food scene.
Yes.
Here in Lancaster, I've become such a foodie, and Lancaster County supports that really well.
They do.
So if you guys aren't from around here and you think that we're all just like ham loaf and like, I don't even know, Fosnats, because that's what my husband got. Whoopie pies. There you go. Whoopie pies. Yep. That's what my husband thought out of Philadelphia. He was like, so it's just like actually, we still do speaking engagements. Okay. And if we are in an area that people really don't know much about Lancaster except that there's Amish, he likes to share with people from the stage that I'm Amish.
What?
And then they think that.
Did you grow up Amish?
No, he just says that.
Oh.
Don't trust anything. Former youth pastor, don't trust anything that he says.
Oh my gosh.
There's a great chance
funny.
it's not true.
This was a great tangent because Lancaster is home to so many cool things.
I love Lancaster.
I remember introducing like my New Jersey like friends, my teammates in college to whoopie pies because my mom would make them and bring them to like our volleyball games.
Yes. They didn't have whoopie pies before that?
Not a lot of them. And my mom was still that mom. She'd come visit me at college and bring cookies for my teammates.
I love that. Does your mom live around here? I think that she should just like drop into Inspire and
yes,
bring cookies and whoopie pies. Rachel's mom, if you're listening.
Shout out, Mom.
Let's just do this whole session is just like a plug and a shout out.
Yep, a shout out to you, Patty. If you're listening, I have to teach her how to use that podcast.
Oh yeah, good point.
She'll be like, I just can't get the new ones. I'm like, you just like refresh it, Mom.
So precious.
Yeah, still learning. But this is a good lead in. I wanted to ask about the products that you have now. So after you were with the business for a few years, how did you transition into like, okay, maybe we should do more than water. Like, how did you guys begin adding the teas and things? And I love that they're organic. So since we are in Lancaster, are a lot of the things sourced from this area too? Tell us about the teas and the drinks.
Yeah, I was going to say, not a lot of stuff is sourced from around here just because of the amount that we would need. Mm-hmm. So I think like our, but we still have the strawberry puree. Everything is just real, which is awesome. I was super particular about that. So let me back up. You asked how we got from water to tea and lemonade. Basically, my husband is a visionary. That's just like the long and the short of it. It's the very simple answer. So he always dreams bigger than where we're currently at and says, what if, and doesn't really let really well thought through hurdles stop him. So you can even give him like a very strong like pro-con list, and like if he feels called to do something, we're doing it. So teas and lemonades were kind of on his radar very early on. We actually originally thought we were going to call it Humanities. Get it? Yeah.
Oh.
Wah wah. Glad we didn't.
That makes me think too of like t-shirts.
Oh, that's right. See? Good that we just stuck with the Humankind
I like
name.
Humankind.
Consistent branding here. And so we basically, once we came alongside our now president, Ethan, we brought this idea to him, and he was like, you know what? This organic iced tea and lemonade would do really, really well. We don't have a lot of organic iced teas and lemonades currently. Again, this was started 3 years ago. And so we decided that we would just make up the flavors, give it a go, and see what happened. And honestly, it's been incredibly well received. The flavors, we have a flavor house. And so basically we went to them and we said, this is what we want. And they basically go back into a kitchen and they start crafting, and then you play Goldilocks and you just start sampling things. And you're like, this one's too sweet. This one I don't have enough lime in. Can you punch this note up a little bit, dial this back? And so the jasmine lime was the one that it took the longest to craft. I knew what I wanted. But it's really hard when you just have an idea in your head. How do you get that out there to somebody? So, like I said, we've heard really good feedback on every one of our flavors, which is so awesome. My personal favorite is the sweet tea. And she does not get the love that she deserves. But unfortunately, I think a lot of people think Southern sweet. Like I've got to cut it with water.
Yes,
not
that's
true.
Kind of how sweet teas are sometimes.
Nope, she's just like a really strong brewed black tea that is sweetened, not sweet. So maybe we should change the label at some point. We've considered that too. But either way, like I said, if you pick up one of our drinks, I'm certain
I love that we're looking at them right now.
They're so pretty, aren't they?
Yes, they are. I like the labels, and I love that we're like, oh yeah, this one and that one. And I like that you give them pronouns.
Yeah, like personalities.
She's a sweet one, or like this guy,
this guy tart. He is a little tart. That is true. I should say our jasmine lime is not for the faint of heart. Okay. So if you're thinking green tea, like kind of your basic, mild, nope. Our girl packs a punch. She's a little bit more limeade. So there's 7-8% lime juice.
I would like that. Because I think green tea is sometimes a little bland.
Yes, I said the same thing when we started developing it. Yeah. So now we're currently working. Ooh, can I tell them the newest? I don't even know, guys, if I'm allowed to. But you know what? whatever. I'm an owner. I'm married to the CEO. We're just going to do it. We have new recipes that are going to be coming out. We hope by the summer. It's going to be our low-cal, low-sugar options.
Oh, that's so smart.
And it is a win all around. I don't typically go that route personally. I just, whatever, give me all the sugar. I have a really serious sweet tooth. These drinks are so delicious.
Okay.
So good.
That's good to know because I'm the same way. I think too, because with a lot of low-cal or the zero, so many brands are going with the zero-cal.
Yes.
Then I look at what's in them. What are you replacing with?
Still organic. So we're going to continue with the stevia. And that's great. Yes, because stevia, because it's plant-based, you can stay organic. And it's because a lot
really
of
the brands out there, I don't think people realize. I mean, I can't even think of specifics. I'm not an expert on beverages. But a lot of them, if I actually turn them around and look at the label, I'm like, oh, this kind of looks like it has a healthy label, but it's owned by Coke. Or it's owned by Pepsi, and it's sweetened with aspartame and a bunch of chemicals that I don't really want in my body.
True.
I am not super crunchy, but that was the one thing a handful of years ago. I watched some Netflix. It was a Netflix
documentary.
Yeah, about the soft drinks and how bad
food industry
is.
Yes.
I also one of my clients that I do social media for is a dental office, so I'm always posting articles about how bad sodas and things like that are for your teeth.
Yes.
Even seltzers, because there's a lot of zero-cal seltzers, and they're sweetened with junk, and it's so bad for you and your teeth.
I know. You got to read those labels. Absolutely.
I mean, everything in moderation. Don't think I'm judging you.
That is true. Moderation is a much healthier way to go, I think. That beats binging or something. But yeah, I totally agree with you.
Cool. Well, the one question I wanted to ask now on the flip side of how the business, began to grow and all of that is let's talk about the partnerships and the charity side of things. I want to hear about the nonprofit, and I want to know if I purchase one of these drinks, what actually happens. I love that on the bottle of water right here, it just says, a bottle equals 100 gallons of clean water. And I just noticed that if you look through it, there's a kid drinking clean water.
Yes.
That is so cool.
Also, you want to know another fun fact? Here.
The label is awesome.
Yeah, and if you look through the bottle, you actually can see a quote from Mother Teresa. It says, "I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the waters to create many ripples." What? And that is actually on our...
Guys, I'm going to be putting this in our Instagram stories so that you can see what I'm talking about.
And it's hidden on our tea label as well, the same quote. So, so many fun elements.
Yeah, that's so fun when you're sitting down to design.
Yeah, it really is. It's been a really fun adventure. Our business is Humankind Beverage, but then we have an associated nonprofit, which is called Kind Human. So basically what happens is when you buy a bottle of our drinks, monies go right from that purchase off into Kind Human, and those monies then go out into the field. So we're working directly with communities that are located in Africa, India, and the Dominican Republic. We've got partners on the ground there that are experts in the hydrophilanthropy field. They have the local ownership. They are boots on the ground 24/7. So those relationships are established, and we make sure that the sustainability is there, because at the end of the day, what we really want to do is be able to sort of work ourselves out of a job. And we don't want to have to be in these communities for the next 50 years. We want to make sure that we hand the projects over, we give the education that is needed, and then we're able to step back and they have complete ownership of the projects themselves.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I would love to know, because you mentioned just in our chit-chatting, oh, you've never been to Africa? And I was like, no, I haven't.
Right.
But obviously you have.
Yes.
So have you been to these places to kind of establish those relationships? Or once you get set up, do you go and just participate in different trips or missions? How does that work?
Yeah.
I love hearing travel stories and just how these connections are formed.
Absolutely. So a little bit of both. So a lot of times our partners, the initial conversation might just start, via email. And obviously there are questions that we ask to vet out each organization. There's a lot of great organizations that are doing a lot of great things out there. And water has become, it just seems like it's getting a lot of awareness nowadays. A lot of people automatically think charity water. Yay, charity water. Love what you guys are doing. So there's a lot of good people out there doing a lot of good things. And so when we start working...
Is charity water the commercials you see with Matt Damon with Stella Artois?
That is his own organization.
Oh.
Matt Damon, what is your organization called? I think it's water.org.
That might be right.
There are so many, honestly. Charity Water is the one that started because people were donating their birthdays. I don't know if you know. Okay, so if you look it up though, a lot of your listeners know Charity
Water.
Not to confuse
anybody, but I just do know I've heard more about the water crisis just because, like I said, I can think of that one commercial off the top of my head.
Yes, and there are some big names that are getting behind this huge need in our world, which is awesome because again, it's all about using your platform. And so whether your platform is a nurse that works in Lancaster County or your platform is, hey, I am a movie star and, you know, everybody knows me in the whole world. Like, just use your platform wherever you're at and talk about the things that you're passionate about. And I think that Matt Damon's done an awesome job doing that.
Yeah.
So,
shout out Matt Damon if you're
listening.
Right.
How much do we love and hope that he is listening right now? So we vet out our partners. Just make sure that the criteria that we've established on our nonprofit side is things that they're going to be able to meet. And that, again, that the sustainability piece is there, that the local ownership is there. And then once we've started talking to those individuals and those partners, often what happens is me and hubby travel overseas to do like an exploratory trip, quote unquote, and do the due diligence of seeing what this looks like on the ground. And the reason that we call it exploratory trips is because we actually lead vision teams overseas with us. So there's also part of our label. I'm pointing it out to Rachel right now on our label.
I love this.
It says come with us. So you guys can come with us. And so what we do is we currently lead teams to the Dominican.
Cool.
But when we were in Africa 2 years ago, we wanted to see our partners on the ground and the work and just understand and be active partners, obviously, and engage with them. But also that we had hopes that we would be able to lead a team to Uganda. And so our plans are to be leading that team this November. So we always go first to just figure out what struggles and trials and unique situations we're going to come up against, you know, with a flight pattern and things like that. Make sure that what we're asking our team members to do is realistic.
Yeah. So is it a lot of, I don't know that much about the whole water situation.
Yeah.
So is it making sure people have access to water that's already there? Is it drilling wells so they have water? Like what exactly do most of these places need?
Yes. Great question.
Because I think a lot of people want to help. I think sometimes people are skeptical of giving money to things because they don't know what they're actually doing.
Of course.
But even, like you said, in this area, there's a lot of ways to get connected. There's a lot of big churches in this area, and they do a lot of missions.
Yeah.
But even being a member of a big church, sometimes I'm like, I wonder what they actually do when they go over to these places.
And no, it's a great question, and we're all about transparency. So we our partners provide clean drinking water in a couple of different ways. Predominantly, it's well repairs. So there is a well that is already there with a hand pump, and people have access to it at the community, but unfortunately, it's become, you know, not functioning for whatever reason, which happens. I mean, any piece of equipment will fail eventually. And so that's why part of the education piece, when we come in, maybe they're putting, you know, new pipe through, like whatever the problem is that they need to do to rehab this well. But then they do the education piece with the community and make sure that they understand that when this thing becomes dysfunct, when it breaks down again, they've got a means to actually financially pay for it and fix it and know how to do all of that. So we make sure that we give that education piece as well. Now, some of the other communities that we go into, so sometimes you just have to make a decision based on the actual geography of where you're located. So when you're in the Dominican, what we do a lot of times is bucket filters. Because the ground is really porous. Even if you put a well in, there's a lot of times that yes, you'll be pumping water out, but there hasn't been a good natural filtration process from the time that the rain hits the ground. Here in Lancaster, we have an awesome ground that goes through its natural layers of like silt and sand and dirt. And then by the time it hits your well, most times it's totally safe to drink. It doesn't happen in places like the Dominican or Haiti because essentially it's like a pumice stone, you know, that's what the ground is like. And so because it's so porous, rain is going to fall and it's going to have no natural filtration process or very limited. And you're going to be pumping out water that essentially is still dirty.
And that's why things like cholera spread.
Exactly. And so if we give you
this is so educational.
filter, we give you a bucket filter, and even our missionaries that are on the ground there, that's what they use. They use a bucket filter as well. It's this little, you guys can't see, but I'm like holding up my hands here that are roughly like 4 inches apart. It's this little dome-shaped ceramic filter, and you just have this whole bucket system. And so when we take our teams over to the Dominican, you end up putting together bucket filters and distributing those back out to the communities. And again, education piece of why they need to filter their water. We also test the water when we're there, and almost always the water comes back positive for E. coli.
Oh, wow.
You don't want to drink E. coli.
No, definitely not. Wow, this is so great. I love that, like, not only, I mean, I love interviewing people and hearing about their businesses, but this is very cool that I'm learning about the whole water thing too, because I have wondered, like, well, what do people actually need? Like, is there something that you can send overseas, or like, who do you give your money to, or whatever? But it's really cool that just by purchasing water or purchasing one of your beverages, it's doing these things.
Absolutely. And you can also, so if you're in an area, say that you can't actually access any of our drinks, so sad for you, but we'll be there eventually. You can also go onto our website and make a direct donation and choose where you want your money to go. So do you want it all 100% out to the field? Do you want some retained for staff support? We, respect wherever it is that you want to send your dollars.
That's really cool. And I love too, like you said on the label here on the tea that I'm holding, it says, come with us and meet the people you're helping. And it says, learn more at behumankind.com.
That's us.
So if you are somebody that's feeling inspired to maybe go on one of these visionary trips, or to actually, be the hands and feet and get on the ground, check that out. That sounds really neat.
Yeah.
If I was not 9 months pregnant, I would be like signing up.
Yeah, trust me, we don't want you 9 months pregnant.
Oh my gosh.
I would be so nervous.
My husband is one of those people that like sees a sad video or something.
Yes.
And like, he just like wants to do something. Like, we just watched that movie Instant Family with Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah. How was that?
It was so good.
Was it?
And he was like, the movie's over, and he's like, we should do foster to adopt. And I'm like, I'm 8 months pregnant, or 9 months pregnant now. Like, no.
I love
not
husbands.
at this point in time, but I'm glad that you're feeling inspired.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like, we'll get back to that, babe.
Exactly. So we're going to talk a little bit more about family life and just the work-life balance or struggle, whatever you want to refer to it as.
All of it.
In just a few minutes, but we're going to take a quick break. If you follow us on Instagram, you've probably seen photos of my new office space. And for those of you who are local, my office is located in the Inspire Business Community co-working space in downtown Lancaster. Not only do I love having space to call my own, I love that I get to be part of a co-working community that's for women only. When the co-working space is full, the creative energy is contagious, and I love that Inspire is always offering workshops and events to help grow my business. Not to mention the networking opportunities they provide. If you want to know more about upcoming events or how to purchase a monthly co-working pass, visit inspirebusinesscommunity.com. There are daily co-working passes as well as a monthly punch card option, and there are still some semi-private office spaces available to rent. To learn more, just follow Inspire Business Community on Instagram. Welcome back. This is Rachel, and I am here with Meg Foltz of Humankind Beverage. If you caught part one, we were talking all about the business and how it got started and the charity work that they're doing. And in this part, I want to talk a little bit about just the balance of work and life and marriage. And you also are still a nurse. So it's not like you're doing Humankind full time.
Yeah.
Or you are, but you're also doing something else full time.
That's probably a better way to say it. Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about that. When you got started with Humankind, did you cut back at all with nursing, or is that something that you have kept doing? I know sometimes nursing can be like a little flexible with what your schedule is like. So
total blessing. So I did cut back my hours at the hospital. So I'm working 20 hours a week.
Okay.
Which is great.
Yeah, that's probably really nice.
It is.
I know some people, like, I can't like add up the hours, but the people that just do like the multiple like 12-hour shifts.
Yeah, are crazy people.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then like they might have 3 or 4 days off, but I'm like, I don't know if I could function. Like, that would be a lot.
Yes. And I'm in a nice space at this point. My role at the hospital is basically a Monday through Friday day shift position, which makes life a lot easier. Yeah. Also because as I've gotten older, those like night shift 12 hours. Okay, let's just be honest. I was never a 12-hour shift kind of girl. It's hard. I mean, my gosh, you can barely do that when it's like a job that doesn't require you to keep somebody alive. You don't want to enter into a space that you feel like, I'm so exhausted. This is not going to be good for me or for you.
Oh my gosh, I can't imagine. I mean, my heart goes out for anyone in nursing just because I feel like that is a type of care I could not provide someone. I also don't really like needles. I just couldn't do it.
It wouldn't be for you.
But like you said, just like the longer shifts and having to have that stamina of like, you know, it might be my 10th hour, but this person just got here.
Yeah.
That would be
the
hard.
mental and physical stamina of it. Absolutely. But, you know, I do think, I know for myself and for a lot of people, like nursing is absolutely a calling. I feel really blessed that I get a chance to do this. I've been a nurse for 11 years now. And I thank God every day, honestly, that I got called into it. And if I didn't, I wouldn't probably be here with Humankind either. So it's just kind of funny how all those, you know, different paths cross and kind of create what is life, you know?
For sure. Yeah. I did want to ask, because you had mentioned at the beginning that doing a trip through, like a nursing trip, is what got you thinking about, you know, if these people just had clean water.
Absolutely.
So is that something that you're still able to do? Is that unique to LGH, or is it a bigger organization that you are part of with these nursing related trips?
Yeah. The medical teams I was running independently, so it wasn't sponsored through Lancaster General.
Okay.
I did travel a lot with a lot of nurses who work at Lancaster General, some physical therapists, like a handful of doctors, things like that, but it wasn't technically sponsored. Having said that, I don't lead medical teams at this point. Totally would be interested and willing to, but honestly, it's just for a lack of time.
Right.
There's just so many hours in a day, and I'm probably gone internationally about 3 to 4 times a year to begin with Humankind.
Right.
So just trying to figure out how to prioritize, how to do the wife thing, the mom thing, the nursing thing, the VP of Humankind thing. And sometimes something has to give, even if it's just for a season.
And even if it's a good thing, like I feel like Christina and I have talked a few times about how even like there can be too much of a good thing. Like you can't do it all well.
Yes.
So if you want to do something well, sometimes that means something else has to be on the back burner for a little bit.
Right.
And that might not mean you don't come back to it, but you know, maybe it's not for a few years because of the stage you're in.
Yes.
So yeah, I love that. And when we were chit-chatting just a little bit during our break, you mentioned too, if you're someone listening, maybe you're in a busy stage of life, maybe you're like myself and you are way too pregnant to even be allowed in an airplane or go on a trip now.
She's so cute, guys, though. Seriously. This belly, adorable.
Thank you, because it does not always feel like that. But yeah, if you're in that stage where just maybe being part of a trip or doing some type of physical outreach isn't in your capacity, you know, sponsoring or writing a check is huge. Like you are putting your money and your trust in somebody else that has the connections to do amazing things. Yeah. So don't ever feel like that's not as much. Like you're not doing enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like too, just from, I don't know, just maybe like from spiritual gifts realm, you know, maybe your gift isn't being outgoing and doing the outreach, but maybe you are gifted in running your business here and you're successful and you have the money to give towards these good things. Absolutely. I don't think there's anything wrong with that either, in saying that, like, you know, my gift isn't in traveling. Like I just don't have a passion for it. And so, I don't think there's anything wrong with just saying, you know what, I can help in this way. Yeah.
And I was thinking, even as you were just talking, I mean, we're called to be hands and feet, but that also means, you know, even within a biblical context, that all of us are not created to do the exact same thing, just like every part of the body is created for a unique purpose. And so sometimes I think that we, unfortunately, gosh, even just as women, we like compare ourselves to one another, right? And say, well, this is what this person is doing. And we set these like impossible standards of what we are, quote unquote, supposed to look like, do, be. And that's baloney. Let's just call it like a spade is a spade, right? Like it's just not true. And so, like you said, if you're in a season of life, or if you're just like, that is just not an area that I'm gifted in, that is totally fine. And I
I guess I just want to like be encouraging in that area as well. Not everybody is called to start a company. Not everybody is called to necessarily be leading medical teams or whatever it is. You know what I mean? And I can say that honestly, there are some people that I've had in my past who have just reached out to me and said, I feel called to like financially support you. And I have thanked God for them so much because it made everything possible. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like, that's huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, even just the emotional support, the spiritual support, people that are like,
absolutely.
I'm praying for you. Doors are going to open.
Yes.
Like, that's so big.
Yes.
So I would love to know, you mentioned that you're a stepmom. So what is it like being a stepmom, being fairly newly married? How did you step into that role? Because I feel like you wear your other hats very well. So talk a little bit about that and how you juggle it all.
Yeah. So we said that this was going to be the show of like plugs and shout outs, right? So like shout out to my stepmom friends who are out there, because honestly, I think that it's a space that doesn't get talked about enough. And I know that at times I've felt very lonely by myself in this, an island in this thing called family life and parenting, because being a stepmom just isn't always, or the only real like background that I had with it was, the evil stepmother of like Cinderella and things like that, like the wicked stepmother, like all of that, right? Which is like horrible. So
why do stepmoms get like a bad rap at Disney?
Not fair. So luckily I think I'm not one of those stepmoms, but now I did have it easier because hubby and I have been married for almost 3 years and his boys are older. So I got boys. Shout out to boy moms. You're going to become a boy mom.
Yes, I'm so excited to have a boy.
I'm so excited for you.
I've just heard they're so much like easier.
I totally believe that. I totally believe that because all of my friends who have girls, I get gray hair just like thinking about their stories. You guys are saints.
With girls, just everything is such a big deal.
Right.
Like
there's
the
a lot of
batteries
emotions.
died in her spirit walking free horse that walks by itself.
Yeah.
And it's like, Daddy, you have to fix it right now. I remember when you went to the store and we bought this together.
Okay,
Daddy, fix it right now. And he just looks at me and I'm like, Kyle, this is a big deal. This is a big deal to her. You need to fix it right now.
That is true. So I will take my boys any day of the week. Jackson and Elijah, you guys are the best. So not only are they older, but also, like I said, just because they're boys, so I just think that there were like maybe not the same emotional drama pieces, because yes, we've been going through the teenage years, and they've just handled it with a lot of grace. Also, my husband is amazing and is the best dad in the whole entire world. So, and they would say that as well. So they have a really healthy relationship with him. But there is juggling, and there's things that when I came into this family, I also didn't realize that there weren't necessarily things that were happening to me because I was a stepmom. They were the exact same things that were going to happen even if you were bio mom. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, guys, why can't we actually put our clothes into the clothes hamper? Why is that so hard? I was Googling this. I literally found myself Googling this like a couple of months into marriage because I'm like, is it me? Are they just being disrespectful? Nope, it's actually none of those things. It's just typical, like, teenage mentality, like unawareness. Love boys, love them. So it's been a total blessing to be a mom. I knew really early on in my own personal story that I was probably not going to end up with bio kids. And then that was further confirmed when I received a diagnosis of endometriosis 10 years ago. Oh, wow. Which is horrible and severe. And again, I feel like that doesn't get talked about enough. Apparently 1 out of every 10 women deals with endo, and can be quite debilitating. And so when I was very young, I had this thought that I was probably going to end up adopting. Okay. And then when I got my endo diagnosis in my first marriage, I was like, isn't that interesting? I felt like God, just with so much grace and compassion, had already started sort of mentally preparing me for the fact that I wasn't probably going to birth my own kids.
Yeah.
And so when
that is interesting.
Yes, right? How awesome.
And endo is something that I have learned about through a friend who's very outspoken about her journey with it. Shout out Tara. You have been like influential, I think, to a lot of women in my circle or at worship center in the moms group I'm part of, which is a big group of women.
Yeah.
She's done such a great job of just being open about things.
Awesome. Tara, good for you, because it's
before her,
hard.
I knew nothing about it.
Absolutely. And my husband had to deal with it, learning about what this chronic pain looks like. And not every day is the same, and not every month is the same. And I can feel amazing right now, and I could be like doubled over, rocking myself in a corner in 5 minutes. I just never really know when it's going to strike. Now, luckily, I found a lot of relief going into more of an organic lifestyle, essential oils. I guess I just got I got a little crunchier, but honestly, I've seen huge relief and changes for me. But all that to say that, like, I just thought sort of somehow in the back of my mind that my family might come together a little bit different than me actually, like I said, birthing my kids. And so I was really blessed that when I met my husband and he was like, hey, so, you know, I've got 2 boys, and, you know, how do you feel about that? And what do you think about that? And they just embraced me and welcomed me into the family really easily, and just love on
so
Megsters.
cool.
They call me Megsters. They love on Megsters. Their mom's still in the picture. So even that was like, how do you support mom? And their mom is like an active mom and is a good mom to them. Do you know what I'm saying? And so like, I don't want to ever try to be like infringing on that role, and yet like, how can we support the fact that they can have multiple people that they love that are cheerleading them on? I don't think our kids can get enough cheerleaders in their lives. Do you know what I'm saying? There are girls that I've mentored that I'm just like, you know what? We need more people just pouring into every kid, every person. And so I think that that's where I kind of see my role. They don't necessarily need a mom, quote unquote, but they can certainly have another woman who's, like I said, standing on the sidelines, just lifting them up, praying for them, cheering them on as they do this thing called life.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. It's great to hear too that you have a good system for parenting and just working together, because unfortunately
try hard.
some people don't have that. So yeah, that's awesome to hear. And I feel like that could be a blog post, like just how you establish that for somebody that might be struggling with, you know, maybe it's setting boundaries or just establishing routine or whatever that might be.
Absolutely. And it
So
definitely,
you know what?
Okay, yeah, you know what? I will do that.
That could be a whole other episode.
Done. Absolutely. And I think too, like, it's easier, you know, like 3 years later to look back on it. And also there was a really big season when I was just going off on my soapbox here a couple of minutes ago of how we women think that we, like, quote unquote, should be a certain thing, flavor. This is what it should look like.
I'm so slacking when it comes to like cooking and casseroles, but I'm the mom that's just like, that's not my gift.
Right.
I would rather give $10 or just buy something.
Absolutely.
Because I don't have the time to cook something.
And so I had to let a lot of things go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The idea that I was going to have always a perfectly pulled together home was unrealistic. And it was not only stressing me out, but it was putting a lot of stress and strain on my boys, who had been living a little bit more of a bachelor life before this girl showed up in their house and, you know, started having like, these limitations of like how much laundry was one person going to do in a week. And like, you can use your bath towel more than one time. And so I think like even letting go of some of those expectations was very freeing for me. And sometimes it's still a daily struggle. I'm not, I don't want anybody to think that I've like arrived as I'm talking to you. There are still things that I have to say, like, okay, in the big scheme of life, how much does this really matter? And is this really what I want to get stressed out about and spend like emotional investment in? And normally it's not.
Yeah, that is a conversation I wish I could have with my 3-year-old.
Well, yeah, 3-year-olds are so much.
Is this horse that batteries died? Like, is it really worth this?
Yes.
So I can relate on a totally different level.
Yeah.
So I had a couple just quick questions before we wrap up. You did mention you're a morning person. So do you feel like part of just the success you've had with the parenting and juggling things is because you're a routine type of person, or are you kind of just like a go with the flow? Because I feel like you're very easygoing.
I've become more a go with the flow because I think, like I said, again, having a family of 3 boys, they are weirdos, guys. Okay, they are just straight up weird. And so I had to figure out really fast how to like go with that. 2 years ago, they decorated the Christmas tree with Russian accents. Oh. This is my family. And you know what? I wouldn't change it for the world. I really wouldn't. Yeah. And so I think learning how to like better go with the flow. And also, I'm not with So like full disclosure, I'm not with my stepkids every day. You know, the one is off to college. The other one is down in Philadelphia. And so I don't get a chance to see them as much as what I used to when we got first married. So routines are like out the window long ago. Yeah. And, you know, even for hubby, honestly. And so a lot of times you have to look at the day and just say, what does today require?
Yeah, for sure.
And that's okay.
But you guys are in the Lancaster area now, correct?
So we're in both places. We're still down in Philadelphia because the youngest hasn't launched yet.
Oh, okay.
So our headquarters is in Mount Joy. I'm up here pretty much full time. Hubby's up here just about every day, but he maintains a landing place for our 17-year-old who will, like I said, be getting launched soon, but still make sure to like pour into him, you know, and for me, hopping on the phone with him, just texting him. Yeah. Hey, have a good day. Like thinking of you, love you. I mean, technology is kind of awesome for all those reasons. Very cool. Also, hi, moms of teenage boys, they don't really want to talk to you that much anyway half the time, right? You're like, let's talk. And they're just engaged in what they're doing. And that's okay. Because I remember when I was 17, I wasn't really thinking about hanging out with my parents.
Not at all. When I was 17, I think they were like the last people down.
Right. I mean, I was like, they were there, but you was like, hi, bye, you love me, got it, bye. Okay.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. My last question, totally random. I was just rereading the email from Haley, and when I put together our outline, she mentioned that you are an animal person.
Huge.
And I think in her email, she said something about you having a horse.
I do.
So I told my daughter, who's horse obsessed, that I would ask you about your horse.
What's your daughter's name?
Reagan.
Reagan, ask mommy for a pony.
She has.
Keep asking
all the time.
It's true. So I am also a 4-legged mom, and that's kind of what I brought into this relationship. And I told hubby, your kids have 2 legs and mine have 4. Unfortunately, I just lost my puppy dog a month ago, and so that has been a really hard transition. So that means Blue, the 4-legged horse, has my full undivided attention as far as being an only pet child. Okay. And so he's awesome. He's an off-track thoroughbred. He basically is a 1,200-pound dog. Like, I do believe that if he could actually curl up in my lap, he would. He just is precious. There's just no other way I can say it. And honestly, having a relationship with a 1,200-pound animal has taught me a lot about God. It's taught me a lot about submission. Wow. It's taught me a lot about being in control of my emotions. Horses are incredibly sensitive. So for those reasons, I actually would encourage you to get your daughter involved in animals at some point in time. I mean, I started riding lessons when I was 8. But they pick up really quickly on what you are feeling. And so I have learned, especially even into adulthood, how to be very aware of what I'm feeling and how is that affecting him. And 9 times out of 10, they are not being, quote, naughty. If he's misbehaving, I'm either not being clear in what I'm asking or I am projecting other things out there that I'm unaware of. I know, really deep when you're just like, horse ownership should be like, they're just livestock, right? But he's my therapist. He's where I go to just, mucking a stall. You can work out a lot within yourself when you're sitting there like slinging poo. Absolutely.
I'm so OCD. When I'm stressed, I clean.
Right,
when I'm stressed, I go into cleaning mode. And so, I mean, I grew up just having bunnies. I always had like bunnies.
Oh, bunnies are adorable.
My sister had a cow for a little bit. My dad, we would always have turkeys or quail. He always liked to have birds or something. Random. He grew up on a farm, and I think he just always wanted to have a little farmette, but he did not have enough land for all the things he would have wanted. but not much of a relationship, his little things. Yeah, not much of a relationship at all.
Yeah, maybe the bunnies, of course.
Maybe the bunnies. Yeah, my sister's cow was really sweet. Yeah, it was fun when we had a cow for a while. Yeah. But you can get a lot of thinking done when you are cleaning out pens or whatever it is you're doing.
Absolutely. Yes. The barn owner thinks I'm crazy because I basically told him he doesn't really need to muck my horse's area and I'll just take care of it. Oh my God. And, unless I'm not going to be there for a while, obviously. Trust me, guys, my horse is very well taken care of. But I like coming and just putting in a couple of minutes, working up a sweat and, like I said, flinging some poo.
Good for you. That's good. Well, I will have to ask you more about that because we are horse obsessed in our family. I think my youngest is also becoming into horses. They ask for the spirit riding free show. every single time we turn on Netflix.
Okay, so you were doing something right as a parent. I mean, that's what that means. I'm going to affirm you in your parenting.
Well, thank you. And I have had just so much fun learning about the business, chit-chatting with you today. Where can people find you if they want to get connected on Instagram, whether they're local or not? We've talked about where to find the products, but where can people find you? Do you have a presence, or would you send them to Humankind?
Yeah, all of the above. So first of all, thanks for having me. I've had a blast. You guys are just so incredibly sweet here. And this office space is gorgeous. Like, just what a good cup of tea. Like, what a nice way to start my morning. Yeah, for anybody who wants to plug into the Humankind community, like I said, you can go onto our website, which is behumankind.com. You can find store locators there. You can find out more about vision trips. You can find out about our nonprofit and donating. And then also we're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. I mean, just sort of the normal stuff. We're pretty easy to find, honestly.
Yeah.
Humankind, that's us.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
And thank you for listening. Remember to check out our show notes. I will have things linked that we talked about during the show. I'm going to try to get a video here of these awesome labels. I don't know if I'll be able to video through the water bottle.
It's not the easiest.
But it is really neat how you can see through the water and to read the quote on the other side, which is so fun. So thank you for listening today, guys. And in case no one's told you yet today, moms, you're doing amazing.
Thank you so much for listening today. You are a part of a growing community of moms, business owners, and women who are here to encourage and inspire. You can connect with Rachel at Rachel Klein Creative on Instagram or rachelkleincreative.com. To keep up with Christine and her latest events, follow her business journey on Instagram at Bellenberry Co. And if you want to be first to know about upcoming guests and giveaways, sign up for the Thrive Podcast email list today. Simply visit rachelkleincreative.com/The Thrive Podcast or follow at The Thrive Podcast on Instagram. If you've enjoyed listening this week or you've already added our show to your favorites playlist, we'd love for you to write us a review on iTunes. Your support and positive feedback allows us to keep encouraging moms and business owners each week.